I shall be
How fares your search? What of them? Good. Avar Wolfgren looks to the Crucible Knights as a voice of reason and order. Speaking from their section should lend you credibility with him. You need waste no more time here. Get to the palace. Make your case to the Duke. With him on our side, all of Deerwood can be mobilized against the Leaden Key, and Theos can be rooted out. I only wish I could be there to see it. There is a very old bottle of a very good brandy that I have been saving for a special day. If you hurry back afterward, there may be a little left for you. Off with you. You're going to do very well in there. I've told you everything you need to know. It's only right that you know everything. When I was younger, before Dunreed Road, I had many suitors. These were fine-looking men of good stock, but I could see their thoughts, and they were unimpressive. Boys' thoughts. I toyed with their affections. I resented all of them. And then I met a man whose mind was a mystery to me. But he understood me. He knew me at a glance, told me things I didn't know about myself. He was neither handsome nor charming, but he was all I ever wanted. We made a game of my gift. He would ask me about people, and I would tell him what they were thinking. Sometimes the information was very sensitive. And then one day he asked me if I trusted him. I said I did. Next I knew I was donning a silver mask and swearing oaths to Woodica. Using my gift for the Leaden Key still felt like a game to me, so I did it. I did it because it pleased him. I don't like living in the dark. It's a powerless, hopeless feeling. Every day I did things without knowing their purpose. Every day I loved a man without knowing his thoughts of me. I sensed that there were things he wanted to tell me. I sensed that he knew everything the Leaden Key was created to hide. But Theos was unyielding. One day I disappeared without a word. He would kill me for it, and I knew that. It's their rule. I just wanted to see him plunge the knife, because then I would know. But the day never came. He has left me to wonder. I have devoted my years to learning everything I could about him, in hopes I would find some clue as to who he really was, and why he felt he had to keep his secrets locked away. I have precious little to show for it. Just an old woman nagged by old thoughts. And that is truly everything I can tell you about Theos. I hope you will accept this embarrassing story as a show of my good faith. Yes?
Bring back the feisty one. There's a woman can do some damage squeezing her legs together.
It isn't a parlor trick. Besides, she doesn't take orders well.
She has backbone, that woman. Does it scare you?
No, but I won't be responsible for what happens if you call her whore.
Well then, answer me this, Master Barash. If you Animancers represent our best hope to cure the legacy, what progress can you demonstrate?
Ramir de Barask is originally from Palminia. He's one of the finest minds in Animancy to come out of the Valian Republics. He left for Defiance Bay 5 years ago, because he believed this was the true heart of Animancy research.
As I've said, it isn't about progress, it's about potential.
My house would agree, Your Grace. We see great potential in its future.
And I suppose your blazing profits during the legacy don't have nothing to do with that, do they, Dominel? You can't have it both ways no more! Animancy goes, or this country goes!
So you admit, Master Barask, that Animancy is no closer to stopping the legacy than it ever was?
No, we've had many promising experiments. Cadman Azo has shown...
Cadman Azo murdered a child. For a complete failure. We should be hanging him right now for what he done. The dozens won't stand for it.
The experiment failed, yes, but his work...
Ah, our new delegate from the Knights of the Crucible. What makes you say sabotage?
The fuck's that even matter? These are people who would toy with the lives of our children.
Indeed. Even assuming there was sabotage, is this Animancer Azo not still accountable here?
Horseshit! These Animancers can't be trusted! Look at what happened in Heritage Hill! Our supposed protectors from Crucible Keep can't even clean up the messes Animancy leaves!
Your Grace, we'd have a much easier time of it if our knights weren't so occupied trying to keep their organization from igniting a revolution on our very doorstep.
Heritage Hill is blood on your hands, Justicia! You turn a blind eye and look what happens!
You've some strange taste in travels, friend. The height of your tales expands with every breath. I had heard whispers of a new delegate set to attend today's hearing. I admit that your candor was mentioned more than once. Tell us what you saw in Heritage Hill. Even if it is as you say, we have testimony that a group of Animancers had been spending time there. Surely their tinkering had something to do with this.
Animancy has many enemies. You need only look around this room to see it.
You're missing the point! Everywhere there's Animancers, there's disaster! We all know what Widewind's legacy's really about. And it ain't about some sparkling saint from Creed Ceres who's mad because he took a stroll down the wrong bridge! It's about a bunch of so-called intellectuals fucking with the natural order while the rest of us gotta suffer for it!
Is it, though? Should we not take the time to reach a clear conclusion? I mean, what proof do we have?
My son and daughter are buried beneath the floor of my house. We don't own no land, so that's where we lay them. My son. My wife let him slip when she was bathing him. Got water in his lungs, he couldn't cough up. My daughter? We put her to bed one night, and the next morning she wasn't breathing. This Hollowborn thing, it ain't ending. And it ain't ending because we still let these charlatans play God. There's your proof, you damn copper fucker!
Enough, Adric. Lady Dominel makes a point. If it's animancy, then why do the other states that permit the practice not suffer the same fate? Who among us can say he truly understands why the legacy has taken hold here?
Beasts. Another lunatic at the hearing. Did you remember to lock your sanitarium before you left, Master Barask?
You must know, friend, that the leaden key is a mantle for small-time ruffians and children at play. I'm not saying you're a liar. Not yet. But you'd better start making sense of all this. Help us believe you.
The only piece of evidence.
The only piece of evidence that doesn't send your kind to the gallows, you mean?
You've made an unexpected case, friend. I'll say that much. It seems we have a new possibility to consider, at the very least. How was it you came to learn all this? I see. I am impressed the Knights seized such an unlikely opportunity to find an end to all of this. But these hearings are about more than Widewind's legacy, even though that is our most pressing concern. Let's say for the moment that I were to take you at your word that our friends in Brackenbury Sanitarium and their peers bear no responsibility for this curse upon my country. I'm curious, what would you do if you were in my position? Very well. That is all I wish to hear. Not just from you, but from everyone. Many days we've been at this. It is time we put it to rest. I want to thank the delegations for helping me collect my thoughts. And our new delegate, who has warned us of a new possibility that must be looked into. The time has come to choose a direction for the Deerwood. I am ready to make my pronouncement. Ramir de Barash, representing the interests of animancers in Deerwood, step forward.
Your Grace.
It occurs to me now that my concerns about animancy may not outweigh its value.
Forgive me, Your Grace. We will accept no judgment but our own.
What's he doing? No! Avenge the Doom!
No, wait!
Stop this at once!
I've given you every chance to end this pursuit. Shall I end it for you? Another time. I am already late. Shall I end it for you?
I am already at peace, Grand Inquisitor. Are you?
So be it. If you desire no end, you shall have none. I find you guilty of heresy. May the eternal prison bar your soul from passage, for it is beyond redemption.
Eh?
What?
Yeah?
Good day, stranger.
Why not? Why not? Stop me. Why not? Stop me for long. Why not? Stop me for long. I was a fool to think I could tame these people.
You came closer than most.
A fine epitaph.
No worse than any.
What's in Twin Elms?
Did you pull that from my thoughts?
I've had time to practice. I was saving that for someone.
Pity. You know this is how it has to be.
Prove it.
Smoke rises above the city walls in billowing plumes that blacken the sky like a storm. Behind the walls, the riots rage on. Known patrons of Animancy are forced into hiding as looters ransack their estates and make off with their possessions. Animancers are torn away from their families and dragged from their homes to be stoned to death in the streets. Word had spread immediately that Duke Avar had been assassinated, and that an Animancer was to blame. The city wasted little time in exacting revenge, and little effort into evaluating guilt. In the center of it all, Brackenbury Sanitarium burned. And down the lane, Hodred House, the last bastion of stability in the Deerwood, had fallen silent. Now safely outside the city gate, your path points eastward to Twin Elms, where Theos is bound, for reasons that remain mysterious as the Leaden Key itself.
Please stop. I need to tell you something. I have not been entirely honest about my motives for traveling with you up to this point. When I finished my training in Adir, I was introduced to an organization. All I knew was that they were opposed to the unchecked spread of animancy, and that they could guarantee me postings far away from the Seathwood my father and his earl. At that time, it was enough. In the early years, I thought of them as many things. Hooded men, prudent teachers, the Leaden Key. Their rules were strict, but their guidance was clear. I sincerely believe they wanted to keep Kith from the folly of their own foolish ambitions. I came to the Deerwood a little over a year ago. My orders were to gather information on animancy in the region. A senior contact met with me every few months to receive my reports and issue new leads. She sent me to Gilded Vale to keep an eye on events surrounding the local lord, but I lost track of her shortly after that. I don't know if she was reassigned, killed, or sacrificed the way you saw. At the time you met me, I'd been on my own for a couple of months. I couldn't have. I'd been out of contact with my superiors for months. I needed some kind of direction. After that scrape with the locals, I was ready to get out of town. But then you mentioned the hooded figures in the machine, and I was sure you were on the trail of the Leaden Key. And I was correct in a way. What we found wasn't what I expected. I knew the Leaden Key was trying to stop animancy, but I didn't realize how far they'd gone. Murder, sabotage, abandoning entire districts to shambling horrors. Now the whole city is up in flames. I'm still not sure about animancy, but I know I've been following the wrong master. Please, accept my apology, and my service. Let me fight with you to stop Theos.
And what do you really expect us to do with this too-late confession? Trust you on your word?
That would be an honor.
Say what you want about Dear Woodens. They haven't met the problem yet they couldn't solve by killing some scapegoats.
Yeah?
The stones and the spirits in this place have begun to heal. The stones and the spirits in this place have begun to heal.
set out for Stalwart. The White March rises up in the distance, stretching to the north and south as far as the eye can see. It beckons to you with peaks like broken fingers. The road thins to a tattered ribbon, and the shadow of the mountains falls across your path. You've barely begun your climb when the darkening sky pummels you with hailstones and turns the ground beneath you to ice. You press on. The air grows thin, and the treacherous mountain passes funnel screeching winds past your ears. A blizzard forces you to make camp for 3 days, huddling for safety while snow piles around your refuge. At last the weather clears, and you approach Stalwart under a crisp blue sky. There's a noise, high and sharp, coming from the village that sounds at first like another frozen gale. But when you top the rise and reach the village's wooden gates, you see what lies beyond them.
It's Darthier, with a whole pack of them!
We can take these bastards!
Your thoughts must flow deep indeed.
Hey.
I ain't dying here today! Look out! More of them by the fishery!
Be on sea!
We need help! Get away!
Be on sea!
Run! They'll kill us all! Let's go!
Darthier's falling! Back to the matron, now!
Katie's house is burning!
No problem.
Hurry!
It's a wonder anybody stayed at all.
You did it! You saved them both.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your knuckles on the wrong door.
Tell me what you saw. It is the light of the Godhammer you saw.
It was a weapon of Deerwood's people, a symbol of their independence. It saved the Deerwood. It brought the Saints' War to an end, knocked a god from his perch. There are few that would deny Eothas overstepped. The Godhammer reminded Eothas of it. You saw its light because I helped shape it, give it life, and release it into the world. Once seen, its glory is almost too bright to be believed, and too bright to be forgotten. There were 12 of us. We fashioned the weapon, drafted plans for it, prayed for guidance at Ashfall, and it came to me there. Each of us were given a staff made from the forest of black trees around us, glowing with embers and fire far greater than this branch you see now. It felt as if the staff was Margaren's own finger, guiding my hand, guiding the other 11, the shadows of the 12 who had come to stand on the bridge to stop Eothas. Even in that stand, there was a ritual to it. For the 12 that stood on the bridge, there were a dozen shadows cast, a dozen faithful of Margaren, her fiercest supporters and shapers of the Godhammer. As 12 held Eothas fast, we 12 unleashed our prayers and let the Godhammer fall. Shadows cast by the fire of the Godhammer. Now the spine of the Deerwood is marked by the Godhammer, marked by Margaret. Not all deaths come with stilled breath and stilled heart, or other stilled passions beneath the waste. Some deaths come from silence. The connection we once shared with Margaret, after the light of the Godhammer, it was not the same. It was as if we'd lost our senses. And sense of purpose as well. Instead of victory, being welcomed, there was silence, within and without. Not many can claim to have killed a god. It is less a heroic tale than you would think. And such a death, it changed our faith. All faiths, I expect. Doubt followed, and the world changed. I do not believe Margaren was pleased by what we had done. The world is broken, the wheel stilled. There is sickness in the world's heart. Perhaps the price of crossing a god. Crossing 2 gods. Even as Margaren shaped our hands, perhaps we carried her will farther than was allowed. Just as Widewind did. Saint Widewind. Mortal arrogance to match mortal arrogance. Yet if the world had changed, then I sought to change with it. If I had forgotten some of Margaren's teachings, I would find them again. I would make her see me again. I remembered Margaren's teachings, how reminders on the flesh were more important than the death of a vessel. And I wondered if killing Eothas, if that had simply set him free. Had it allowed him to escape his punishment and be taken on the wheel? Like a mortal? As I stepped from the now blessed Godhammer Bridge, I thought of Ashfall. I thought of the War of Black Trees. Wondered if I needed to be burned to find myself again. That is Margaret at her heart. At least that is my hope. These are the doubts that befall me. The road to Ashfall is long.
gives one time to think. If you think long enough, you do not go. I left without telling anyone, with only the robes I wore at Halcott, my staff, and my name, which is long buried. Of my fellow 11 craftsmen, disciples, I know not what happened to them, if they suffered the same doubt as I did. But it was underserved. It was wrong. We had done all that. Oh, at last, grab victory from defeat and there is something about being used and cast aside. Perhaps Widwen himself felt it. There at the end, in the hammer stroke. To be the proof that your God is hollow as the vessel it inhabits. I tried to find purpose, and avoided all contact with other Magranic priests. Did not seek the walls of Ashfall, and sought to make amends to my God through actions. I joined with the Purges for a time, and not long after came the first signs of the Hollowborn. So many crimes, trespasses, violations. The Salvation. Animancers were another sickness born of the Saints' War. A relapse of innovation, of desperation to heal what we had caused. All seemed worse than before the bridge, not better. And as years passed, the world became even worse still for the victory. Huh? Worship the whims of some fickle bitch, and you'll never be more than dirt beneath her feet. Worship what she worships, on the other hand. Take her fire for your own, and her esteem comes on its own. Of course, by that time, you no longer need it. Trial and transformation, sure as Durance taught. You think to put the coals to my feet, but what's burned once will never burn again. These talks are your trial, Watcher. You cannot deflect the truth to one who has already been purified by it. We put much of ourselves into the Godhammer. Such a device is not simply a machine. There are elements of the spirit in it. Even Widwen's spirit. We all studied Widwen. He was our enemy, and he had provided the flesh the God wore as a cloak. That flesh made him vulnerable. I knew what fields his hands had tilled, his family. What he had harvested, where he had been born. We sought to know him, what had led him to fight us. You don't kill the god, you kill the man it inhabits. And you leave that man a ruin, burn him to ash. The weapon was meant to not only burn his flesh, but it would burn his soul. And it did, at the cost of our own. At the cost of our goddess's favor. That whore be damned. Perhaps your eyes were blinded by the truth of the Godhammer, Watcher. I feel half a man at times, but even that is twice that of most others. If you fear for my spirit, your fears are baseless. The Godhammer, seeing its light, only fueled my anger and made me stronger. Made me re-examine the teachings of Margaret, put them in a new light. I do not need you to cast any more questions on me, Watcher. Nor did I ask you to look upon me without my leave. Get gone, and leave me be.
They've destroyed the stockade, Mother. It's...
Enough. They're gone. Ah, the champion of Defiance Bay. Must have been a long journey. Well, I'm sure you wagered on a more civilized welcome. Still, we're much obliged for your capable intervention. I won't waste your time. Stalwart isn't much more than a grease stain on a map. What roads we've got in the White March are basically tracks in the snow. And for every trader or adventurer that comes through, 3 of our own leave for good. But it weren't always so. There was a time when kings and queens sent their firstborn to these mountains, when the White March was the envy of empires. The Pargrin dwarves transformed the White March once. We could bring some of that greatness back to Stalwart, but we need the White Forge. Then you'll know that no one's felt as much as a summery breeze from the White Forge for over 200 years. I'm hoping you can do something about that. We've been trying to breach Durgan's battery for over a year now. Problem is, the other expeditions can't so much as dent the front door. We're an old mining town. Or we were until the Adirans pulled out and left us with a half-dug mine shaft and something resembling an inn. Since then, it's been a steady decline. You've seen the roads. Isn't much we can produce that the Valians can't ship cheaper. But the White Forge, well, if we could fire it up again and start producing Durgan steel, or something close to it, wouldn't matter if we're in the White March or the Living Lands, business would come. A dozen different groups have come through at our request, and several more besides. Been hoping that one of them could clear the way through Durgan's battery. But young or old, green or seasoned, it don't seem to matter. They cast their spells, chisel at the door, and search the grounds until they've worn new treads into the old stone. The lucky ones eventually go home. Plenty more find themselves on the wrong side of a blizzard, or an ogre raiding party. That's the long and short of it. We're laborers and fisherfolk, not adventurers. But Durgan steel could put Stalwart on the map again, open up the mines, bring in new business. We just need the White Forge, because you can shave stone with it, cleave cast iron in two, and the stuff's as rare as it is remarkable. If we could make something even half as good, we'd have a market at our doorstep and work enough for all of Stalwart. Where should I start? Ogres, blizzards, or sheer damned inaccessibility? It ain't for lack of trying, I'll tell you that much. Got untold riches in Durgan steel lying just inside, and never mind the White Forge itself. The Adirans who first settled Stalwart tried to crack it. So did the Valians, and every other cocky adventurer with more metal than sense. But the place has a funny way of sealing itself up. Front door stays shut, the tower entrances are clogged with rubble, and it's been impossible to blast a way in. It don't bear dwelling on. There's too many superstitions about that place as it is.
Killed each other off, or so the old books say.
Plenty of tales to go around, but none of them open the battery. And the last thing people need is another reason to fear the place. Whatever it was, the other Pargrin dwarven settlements in the White March, Bone Picker, the Hawk, and the rest, emptied out not long after. Moved to gentler, greener lands.
Had the right idea, if you ask me. Finally, someone talking sense.
Durgan steel wasn't just good. It was some of the best. We need the best if we're going to keep Stalwart alive. No one alive today has seen the White Forge, but the old stories tell that it was powerful, glowed white-hot, and gave off a steady, even heat, unlike any other furnace. Let better-schooled folk puzzle over how the thing was built. I just want to see it put to use. Pargrin's a word in their language. Means traveler. They've been wanderers for generations, but I couldn't tell you much more. The battery's up the mountain to the north, a good hike away.
Near Galvino's place, huh?
So it is, though I was going to suggest dealing with that ogre camp before anything. Mestre Galvino, as the old crosspatch prefers it, lives by himself and keeps the wilder and beasts at bay through sheer foulness of his temper.
She means to say he's a skilled smith and animancer, who's lived in the shadow of Durgan's battery for over a decade.
And he butters his bread on both sides and fits his left shoe before his right. But that's neither here nor there. Me and the rest of the town. He knows better than to linger at our gates. Old lunatic finally went too far. And we sent word to the Valiant Academies. I don't like speaking on it, but if you want to get his guff, just remind him that we gave him the boot.
Ain't nobody here fond of the man, but he's a clever hand and a quick study. It's a fool who thinks he stayed so close to the battery without figuring something about it.
You said as much to the last party, and we haven't seen hide nor hair of him since. Maybe they didn't run afoul of Baragon's ogres after all. Just watch your step. Galvino's place is a ways east of the battery, and folk who pass it bring unsettling tales. Belongs to flames that whisper, Matron Baragon's clan. Hunters tell me they've been active of late.
Hunting elk and otherwise minding their own damn business.
Minding their own business. Never mind the latest expedition's disappearance, or the broken stockade.
I'm saying we shouldn't agitate him further.
The brawl outside was just the latest patch of trouble. The ogre clans are getting bolder, and we'll all sleep easier knowing they aren't circling our walls. Also, Baragons like to have whatever the last expedition found. Rumor has it they disappeared near her turf.
Killing a matron will only make our problems worse. The way to approach Baragon is with your hands held high.
If anyone could parley with an ogre, I suppose it'd be you. But they aren't known for their patience with prattle. Good. Before you leave town, stop by the Grave's Rest. Most visitors to Stalwart spend some time there, so Hafric and his patrons may be able to give you the lay of the land. What's on your mind? The Pargrin dwarves guarded it like a mother. Adir founded us back in their colonial days to supply ore to the Empire. Saw a fair bit of traffic from both sides of the White March then. But after the Deerwood claimed independence, Defiance Bay found cheaper places to get ore. Didn't have much reason to maintain our supply routes. Officially. Though with the state the roads are in, you wouldn't guess it. Here in the center? Let's see. The Grave's Rest is next door. Hafric can set you up with a room and a hot meal there. The fishery's just on the edge of the lake, and the Temple of Andra is next to it. No one keeps a secret like Lavda. Or so I'm told. A few folk live in this part of town, too. Seemed a lot safer before the ogres broke through the western gate. Thiersch lives next to the old mine shaft, and Tana, the old mine overseer, is next door to me. I'm the mayor, or so I'm reminded every time there's a game shortage, ogre attack, or a neighborly dispute. I'm a builder by trade, though. Traveled all over Air Glonfoth and the Deerwood in my younger days, but ended up back here anyway. They didn't volunteer much, and I knew better than to ask. I've seen all types charging through here. Professional companies with shiny new equipment as brazen as you please, and hopeless runts with nothing but tattered leathers. But these folk, I don't know what they were after, and the way they looked at you made you feel cold all over. Wish I could tell you more.
Nice and quiet.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skinning your nut. You see many things that aren't there, Watcher. Perhaps the symbol was for your disappearing sanity, and we are to bid it farewell while you still have the wits to grieve for it. That symbol? The God Hammer. No riddle there, Watcher. It took 12 of us to build the God Hammer. Afterward, I took my leave of all of them to see what Margaret had in store for me. I've seen none of them since. Your kind has a way of interpreting its visions to fit the version of the truth you like best. But Margaret's flame leaves no room for interpretation. Waste the time of others with your distortions and your fever dreams. It's always the way of the mad to try to convince others of a reality only they can see. But when your doctrine's the truth, it requires no convincing, only an opening of the eyes. I would purify you, Watcher, if I thought it would help. The cost of troubling me seems to work.
Shining bright from on high, she bade him come down from his palace in the sky. Her love could not be.
There were 12. It felt as if the staff was Margaret, even as 12 shadows cast by the. If you fear for my spirit, your fears are baseless. The Godhammer, seeing its light, only fueled my anger and made me stronger, made me re-examine the teachings of Margaret, put them in a new light.
Quickly and quietly. Sure.
Feels like it's hardly worth putting the huts back up.
Better than standing out here shivering.
Fresh fish! Me and Sledge are thinking about heading down, joining a caravan over to Donning.
Donning? What for? You like your ogres bigger?
Caught! We'd have work at least, and I'm damn sick of fish. Effigy's eyes! It looked at me! Ah!
You must forgive Zawa. I was not expecting you. Resting my eyes, I thought, waiting for the Malkachoa to bring me insight. It would seem I dozed. Good thing my master was not alive to see it. Are you real? Of course. I meant no offense. But I find it is best to ask when Malkachoa is involved. A small white mushroom. I have heard it called snowcap in these lands. It can reveal the true nature of many things. A teacher, not an owner. Zawa is a free man. Well, as free as any of us. I was freeing myself from vanity. Consider, how can one be vain who is bathed in the smell of dead fish? I had the idea when I passed this way earlier. I am pleased with the results so far. Yes, quite pleased. I was visiting a monastery not far from here. I found it empty, but I met a messenger as I left. He carried a call for aid. Seeing that he would find no monks at the monastery, I chose to go in their place. Zawa is no longer young, but in combat he is still the greatest of the Takan people. It seemed only right that he should go. Gods, no. What a way to travel the world. The usual way is to smear yourself with the ashes of the dead. But they do not burn their dead here, so I have to make do with what the land provides. The cold seems to conquer the smell. Even now, the scent hides itself. Disappointing. From battle, yes. I left them upon my enemies. These were struck against fear, these against pleasure, these against hatred, those down there against greed and doubt, and these were for vanity. I cannot take credit for all of them, but I did most of the good ones. I put them there in battle to remind myself what is real and what is not. Our worst enemies are inventions of the mind, pleasure, fear. When we see them for what they are, we become unstoppable. I feel I have been close, but never for more than an instant. In the moment when the pain is sharpest, the world becomes clear. In that moment, I am a match for anyone. Of course, I am fortunate to have suffered so much. If I did not suffer, I would not aspire to free myself from it. I would wander from one unfulfilling goal to the next. More wealth, a better station. My soul would wither, but to search for a place beyond suffering's reach is to nurture the soul, to harden it against the elements. Suffering is the greatest gift the gods have given us, their most beautiful, perfect creation. It is the hand that turns the wheel. I would not say I am hired. I seek no wage, and I promise no result. I have chosen a path, and my spoils come from walking it. And this fortress, this Durgan's battery, its people are gone. Zawa would know why. If one wishes to swim, it is no time to argue with the current. We are here together in this moment because a perfect force has willed it. Who is Zawa to argue? I will walk with you so long as the gods wish it so.
Gores.
Age, float me!
Zawa is ready. Ah, now we can all free ourselves from vanity.
Say, I don't suppose you've seen any mysterious old buildings in the mountains lately, have you? No, but I've heard that name a lot around here. I'm looking for the Abbey of the Fallen Moon. It's an obscure temple dedicated to Andra. I'm a gift bearer. My job is to gather tokens of things people want forgotten and surrender them to the Lady of Lament. Best place to do that is the Abbey of the Fallen Moon. Anything that represents a moment or a memory someone wishes to leave behind. Well, love notes, awkward family heirlooms, bad poetry, the kinds of things you want to forget. I might be here a while. Half the villagers have never heard of the Abbey, and the ones that have, no one knows where it is. So I'm trying to think of this as an extended holiday, in a remote mining village that smells like fish. You won't regret it. I've got a lovely singing voice.
See you when I see you.
Oh, and if I find something good, you can have half.